about the time we faced doom.
All right. Well, as I remember.
At Avenger headquarters.
Because united, the Avengers are strong.
Welcome to the Marvel D&T Evolution podcast with myself, Andy Stead.
And I'm Jarian Gibson.
And I'm Alex Stroud.
And I'm Jamie Smith.
Excellent. How are we doing, chaps? Jamie, how are you?
Not bad. Not bad. Doing good. Doing
You had a
good.
good week?
Yeah. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Nothing out of the ordinary
Just
this week.
working away, home,
Fair
trying to
enough.
relax the best I can.
Alex, how are you, mate? All right.
Yeah, doing great. I'm here. I'm excited to talk about some Moon Knight.
Oh yeah, can't wait. And Jarian, how are you, my friend? I know you're a bit tired. Why are you tired? Tell everybody why you're tired.
Yeah, I just my son's been begging to go see Sonic 2, so I took him today, and it was kind of a snooze fest for me. There were some good parts to it, but it was mostly a snooze fest for me. I fell asleep. You know, he enjoyed it, so I guess that's all that counts. So
It really was a snooze fest in every, as literal as that term can be taken. It was a snooze fest. You actually fell asleep. I don't think I've ever done that, to be honest. I don't think I've ever fallen asleep.
I have.
To what, Jamie? To what?
What was it called? The remake of that Sylvester Stallone film, but the one with Colin Farrell. The one about the future.
Total Recall. No,
Total Recall.
Yeah, Total Recall.
yeah,
Total Recall.
that's
Yeah, Total
that's
Recall.
Arnold
Schwarzenegger. Yeah.
Yeah, Schwarzenegger. Sorry, that's not. Yeah, Total Recall. The remake.
Fell asleep against Total Recall. Yeah. I love Total Recall, the first movie as well. It's great.
Yeah.
Really great cult classic. Alex, have you ever fallen asleep in the cinema?
Yes, so I, for some reason, have this weird thing with the It movie. I don't know why, but every time I watch that movie, I pass out. I fall right to sleep. Every time. So,
Is it falling asleep or is it passing out?
maybe I'm just so scared I'm passing
scared,
out. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Hi, Lisa. Lisa's listening. I guess Xander's there as well with you, so good to see you. I can't say I've ever fallen asleep in the cinema. I think I might have come close a couple of times, but I don't think I've ever fallen asleep. I'm such a little kid when I go to cinema, like, yay, like new movie, yay. So I'm always really sort of switched on, and always got too much to eat as well. Fall asleep with food in my mouth. Anyway, let's crack on. So before we get, well done. What's Lisa said here? I'd pass out. There you go, Lisa. See, Lisa would pass out from the fear of it.
I enjoy scary movies. I actually laugh. They entertain me.
yeah, I like scary movies a lot. And if you watch those like Paranormal Activity movies, I just laugh the entire time. Like I'm not scared at all. I just find it funny. I'm like, oh yeah, let's run into the darkness. Like, why not?
Yeah.
I think
Or
I
Blair-
said. Go on, Joe.
I'll say Blair Witch Project too. Everyone was like all scared and thought it was a thrill. I'm like, this movie is dumb, and I was laughing the whole time. Like, this is so obvious.
Hi, Roxy. You're all right. We're talking about scary movies at the moment for some reason. My son went through. He's still going through a phase now. He always asks me, my younger son. He says, "Can we watch a scary movie, Dad?" And my wife, is not a scary movie fan at all. My older son is not really a scary movie fan, but the younger one seems to want to watch them. So I think I said on the podcast before that we've gone through a few, but we started off with Scream, and because I thought Scream's quite light, isn't it? And it is funny in that respect. And it is, even he, as an 11-year-old, was going, why is he going that way? Or why is she running up the stairs? Or how comes the killer just got taken out by a fridge? And why is she trying to squeeze through the cat flap? And why? There's all these strange things. His mind was picking up on all these, because I guess that whole movie is almost like a parody of itself, isn't it? Where they pick up on all the sort of scary movie isms that happen.
Which is funny. Because they made the scary movie parodies of it.
Exactly.
So
the best part too was that one news station at the very beginning. There's people dying, blah blah blah. We're getting the F out of here, and they just bounce. They're gone from the movie at the very beginning.
Yeah, that was quite funny. Where you had Scream, which was a serious parody of scary movies, and then you had Scary Movie, which was a comedic parody of Scream, which was a serious parody of Scary Movie. It was quite funny. But we got into Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That was on a different. That was
brutal.
Yeah, that was good. And the whole vibe about those kind of older scary movies as well is different. You've got these kind of like that buzz in the background. It's almost like that zzz, you know. I mean, I know obviously it's set in the middle of the desert, so there's buzzing anyway. But it was just as that vibe about it, that environment.
Well, you don't have to worry about the plot in those movies. You can just roll on with it, and you know it's what you're going to see when you go to see it. So like it's one of those things where it's like it's pretty cut and dry what it is, and you don't need to worry about the entire story of the movie. You can sit down, get up, sit back down.
And there's never going to be anything too confusing about it, is there? Really?
Mm-mm.
Except the new one on Netflix was kind of hilarious, especially when he comes on the bus. Dude's carrying a chainsaw, blood dripping from it, and they're like, "You do anything wrong, you're canceled, bro." And all the cameras out, and he did. That's all I'll say about him. It's like, how dumb can you be? I understand people want to post things on social media, record things, but come on, dude's holding a chainsaw with blood dripping from it. What do you get off the bus?
Yeah, that does make me laugh. Anyway, we're here to talk about Marvel stuff. So, should we talk about Marvel stuff?
Yeah.
Although I really feel that Marvel should do a really good horror movie, and it might be coming. We'll talk about some stuff later, but you never know. What we got in the news this week, Jaren?
Well, let's talk about the big thing of the week. Thor trailer. Thor: Love and Thunder trailer has dropped, and we have a synopsis for the movie. So. The film finds Thor, Chris Hemsworth, on a journey unlike anything he's ever faced, a quest for inner peace, but his retirement is interrupted by a galactic killer known as Gore the God Butcher, who seeks extinction of the gods. To combat the threat, Thor enlists the help of King Valkyrie, Korg, and ex-girlfriend Jane, who to Thor's surprise inexplicably wields his magical hammer Mjolnir as Mighty Thor.
Interesting.
So
yeah, I mean, obviously, we had a lot of not a lot of reveals in the trailer, but I really liked the trailer. I thought the trailer was really cool, I think I was talking to somebody on the group the other day, and I was saying it looks like this story is going to be a bit of an like Ragnarok was, a bit of an amalgamation of sort of 3 or 4 stories, sort of all mashed into one. So like Simonson, Aaron, those kind of 2 eras kind of being mushed together, but yeah, I really like the trailer, and I'm really really looking forward to this, and I'm going to read it out in a little while. I'm going to read out Danica's sort of views on Thor, because I thought she really really said it well. But I mean, I don't know, what were your guys' thoughts of the trailer?
So I actually thought it was really interesting, especially that shot where they show like the new Asgard sign, and then they show like all the cruise ships and everything behind it. So I think this is kind of like moving towards Asgard's going to be like a kind of like a tourist destination on Earth. And I'm kind of, I don't know if this will happen or not, but I could totally see that being is like why Jane's there. Maybe she's going there looking for Thor. Maybe she's just going there like, for some reason or whatever. And maybe Thor's hammer is still destroyed and laying out in the field there in Tonsberg, where it was destroyed in Ragnarok. And maybe she touches it and it comes back together or something. I think that would be an awesome idea if they pull that route. But
I actually have a theory about that, on how that happens. So since you brought it up, I'll go ahead and bring it up. So the theory I had was, what if Jane has, we saw that Rogers has been worthy the whole time, right? Since Age of Ultron, we saw him move Mjolnir, that he's been worthy. So what if Jane's been worthy the whole time, since the first Thor movie, since she helped Thor, and kind of helped Thor go on that personal journey to become worthy again. We know that Odin has the incantation on the hammer. So what happens, like you said, she gets there looking for Thor maybe. Mjolnir senses she's sick and reforms and comes to her in a type of way, that kind of thing to protect her maybe. Maybe she goes there and she like maybe collapses or almost dies, and it reforms and comes to her to that, because everything you see in the toys and Lego, I think in the Funko Pops, even the Marvel Legends characters, it's a reformed Mjolnir. It's not like a new one.
A new one.
Multiverse. Yeah.
I reckon that's exactly. I reckon. I mean, whether they used Alex's ether theory or not, which I think they really should, and I think they will, because somebody said the other day about it linking the Dark World again. So hey, Monty's there as well. How are we doing, Monty?
Yeah, the chat's working good.
Yeah. So what's he said there? I wonder if they will go with the comics version, a lady Thor, and make Jane dying of cancer or illness. Has that been confirmed? No, it hasn't necessarily been confirmed.
Actually,
Monty, go on.
I got a point here. So since that's brought up, there's the toy description from the Marvel Legends that addresses this. It says, suffering from cancer, astrophysicist and Thor's ex-girlfriend Jane Foster visited New Asgard, and her life was changed forever. Mysteriously, the broken pieces of Mjolnir, the hammer of the Thunder God, transformed her into the mighty Thor and gifted her superpowers of Thor to battle threats internal and external. Wielding Mjolnir herself, she had become a godly protector, and a new hero was born. So the cancer
where
is
is
there.
that from? Where
The
is
Marvel
that from?
Legends toys.
Ah, because that's literally exactly what I was just about to say, and I think that's kind of what Alex was saying. It's kind of what we've all been saying. Now, I mean, that makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it seems too that they're doing a lot of comic throwbacks here in this movie. So when you see the part where he's running in the beginning of the trailer from a young boy to like a teenager to a man, which that young boy is Chris Hemsworth's son, by the way, in there. But you also see the shot of the big creature on the ground as well. Looks like an icy creature on the ground in the trailer. That's also from the comics too. And I think that part from the comics is when Thor is going around investigating why these gods are dying. I think that's from that piece. So there's all kinds of stuff too. It seems like they're doing a lot of throwbacks from that. Another thing too is that Hemsworth, is excited about it. He even went to Twitter and said, "Here's the first teaser for Thor: Love and Thunder. All the feels of a classic Thor adventure. Big, loud, and full of heart. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and then you'll laugh so much you'll cry some more. Love and Thunder coming at you all July 8th." So he's excited for it.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. That thing with the that god that was slain is unbelievably accurate. When I first saw that, I saw it after I'd seen the trailer, and it did register when I saw the trailer. But when I first saw the images, the two images put side to side, I thought somebody had faked it because I couldn't quite remember it in the story itself.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, that's somebody's just faked that. That somebody's just, put a cartoon filter on whatever it is. But there you go. Like Monty said, it's the god from the comics. But then you see it, and the lines, the blood coming out of the thing's nose are exactly the same as they are in the comic. It's unbelievable. Even the sort of markings on some of the rocks that are around him are exactly the same. It's scary. I didn't even realize you could do that.
Hey, comic purists will be happy. Like, they finally get something that's cut and dry, like almost right out of it,
No, because Cord's there, so it's not perfect.
In that one moment. They want a page number at the bottom of the screen.
Did you guys also watch the IMAX trailer as well, where it's some wider shots?
No.
There's in the IMAX trailer, there's a wider shot when he's there with the Guardians. And for some reason, it looks like some of the people from Sakaar, from Ragnarok. I'm not sure if it is or not, but it seemed kind of familiar to those people that we saw when he landed. Do you fight or are you food? So it looked like they might go back to Sakaar maybe early on in the movie. I'm not sure, but in that same scene, we did get some confirmation of what Guardians are in the movie as well. So Drax, Nebula, Mantis, Rocket, Groot, Star-Lord, and even we saw Kraglin there as well, along with Meek and Korg are back as well. So
and Kraglin's using the fin that Yondu had, right?
Yep. He's the leader of the Ravagers now.
Yeah. Which I just want to say, speaking about the Ravagers, I totally think in this trailer they have that scene where Thor goes up and he like rips off his like jacket or whatever, and he's got the vest on. He's looking kind of like Thunderstrike. I feel like they kind of took that Thunderstrike thing, kind of mixed it with the Ravagers thing, and then just kind of slid them together and was like, okay, this is kind of the style that we'll do here.
Yeah. That Thunderstrike was that is exactly that kind of like torn top, isn't it? And that tank top type. The whole feel of the trailer had that kind of 80s hair metal kind of feeling about the whole thing, didn't it? So that was cool. Just something I want to read. Have we got any more thoughts on the Thor trailer? Anybody from the group wants to bring any thoughts on the Thor trailer? I've got some thoughts here from Danica Casey from the group, and it was around should this be not as dark, or should this be darker? Should they drop the comedic tone, etc., etc.? And she said, "We've got enough dark, serious superhero movies, and the comedic aspect to Thor's story is a great contrast in the universe, especially under Waititi's thumb. It focuses on soft masculinity, comedy in dark times and dealing with traumas realistically. And I thought that was a really nice way of putting it. And then she spoke again with RMC actually in the same chat. I can't find, where is it? Oh yeah, here we go. Oh no, sorry, with Mark she spoke. Mark said he loved how he talked about soft masculinity. He's never heard of the term, but he knows exactly what it means. But then she goes on to say it's one of Waititi's best directorial takes. Maori culture really encourages its men to be emotional, and I think applying that to Thor's character has been crucial to his growth and the evolution of who we've seen on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
I think really well put argument.
And I think it ties into with kind of the way you see Thor in the comics too, as well, because he is, you laugh, you cry, like Hemsworth said in that tweet. That pretty much sums up kind of how Thor is, and as long as it fits the story, I think it's fine. And they did it well with Ragnarok, with him dealing with loss and everything else going on, and I'm sure they'll do it fine here. And speaking of Waititi, he kind of saved Hemsworth's arc in MCU because, from all reports, Hemsworth was kind of done after the Dark World. So
yeah, I mean, somebody brought up in the group earlier on is that they loved how Thor's dealt with depression throughout this, and it's not been disguised necessarily, but I guess it has. It's been disguised in the superhero world, with superhero movies. But he's gone through a really tough depressive period. He's lost all his family, he's lost his friends, he's lost his home. Yeah, he's lost his tools as such. He's lost everything, and that moment in Endgame, at the beginning of Endgame, after he cuts Thanos' head off and walks off, like he's at rock bottom there.
Yep.
He's, and then obviously we see him at rock bottom, when he's drinking beers and playing computer games all day long.
He's kind of lost his purpose is kind of what I kind of like look at Thor and I see now. And it's funny, like looking back at like the previous 3 movies, I feel like every like Thor villain we basically had in every movie has been a product of Odin or Bor in some capacity and not really directly related to Thor himself. Like, the Dark Elves were from Bor's War 5,000 years ago, and then you take Loki, like in the first movie, that's really kind of like Odin's fault. That's not really like Thor's fault. And then, Ragnarok is literally Thor fighting his sister who's been pushed away by his father from Asgard and basically tried to wipe the slate clean of all that history. So we have a really interesting shot here where Gore could be in the MCU actually like somebody that's actually got a personal beef with Thor. Like, rather than somebody that Thor is basically picking up the war of his father or his grandfather,
And speaking of Odin too, this might be the first Thor movie without Odin.
Yeah.
Unless they have a flashback or something. I want to address Monty real quick about the comments about the laughter and the darkness kind of thing. He says, I don't know that I agree we have enough dark superhero stuff in the MCU, but I agree with everything else Danica said. I remember that comment, well said by her. And then he also says, Thor should remain comedic. They can mix in heavy stuff like Ragnarok. So he's spot on there.
Yeah. Agreed all around.
I got one last question about the trailer before we move on. Are you guys disappointed that we didn't get any kind of look at Gore at all in this trailer? I almost think that, because we got a Zeus shot. So we got Russell Crowe as Zeus, briefly in the trailer. But are you guys disappointed they didn't show Gore? I think for some reason it's going to be a big reveal of Gore, and we might not see Gore. We might not see Gore into the movie, and I'd be fine with that.
So I was thinking about this the other day. You remember how we were talking about the appearance of Gore? I was wondering. I was thinking to myself, I wonder if they're still kind of like playing with how he looks in the movie. Like maybe they don't really like it just yet, so that's why they didn't put it in the trailer. And so like they've seen kind of like how people have flipped out publicly about like how he doesn't look anything like he does in the comics. So maybe it's like a very similar thing to the Sonic thing, where it's like, hey, this looks awful. Like you should fix it. And who knows? Maybe they will.
I absolutely agree with what you just said there, Alex. That's exactly what I thought. I thought they've chucked out these toys, which, they can, they're neither here nor there, are they really? And yeah, that's what I reckon. They've tested the water and gone, do we need to change anything? I mean, whether that's right or not, I don't know, but it feels like that, doesn't it? I feel the same.
But I
Yeah.
agree with Monty though. I said they leave it for the movie. You can't show everything. And
No, of course not. You don't want them to show everything either, do you? But they've got really good at that. I think they've got really good at that over the last few years. You know, giving you enough in the trailer to really buy into it, and then, you know, giving you something totally different when you actually go see the movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But no, I do agree with Alex, actually. It's exactly what I was going to say. Any more thoughts on Love and Thunder trailer?
My guard's up on it just after the first Doctor Strange 2 trailer and then the second trailer. It just made them look like two completely different movies. So that might happen again. We might get another trailer for Thor later on and it just flips what we think we've just seen last week. You know what I mean? So the guard's up. It might change. You don't know. It could but it seemed like very select shots. Everything was happy. It's not going to be all happy.
No,
it can't be.
No, it's not. Not with Gore in that. I mean, that story, that God Butcher story is. I mean, to be honest, that whole thing is pretty hard to read. Like, not hard to read because it's not very good. It's excellent, but hard to read because it's
a tragedy.
Gritty, gritty, and a tragedy, and it's just emotionally tough to get through, isn't it? I mean, even when he wins, he doesn't. I mean, he does win, but he doesn't really win, and you know, the whole thing is like it's almost like, God, like you're tired by the time you finish it. So, yeah, no, I agree with you, Jamie. Actually, I think we could end up with a real light and shade. Yeah. Look what Monty's just said there, that Gore's backstory is incredibly sad.
And I just want to bring one more thing up. Didn't we see Thor burying Stormbreaker in that trailer?
Yeah,
ground,
he put in the ground, and I kind of have a thought about that too. So, do we think that this is some trailer confusion here that actually happens at the end, maybe when he's done, and maybe they're trying to build Asgard anew somewhere else? Because remember, Stormbreaker is from Groot's arm. And then you saw that post of him on the boat with the Bifrost. Could they use Stormbreaker to actually have a new Asgard somewhere and rebuild the Bifrost with Stormbreaker? So that could be like an end shot in the sunset. My other thought too is there like a scene of possibly Thor be dying, and that's kind of like, you know, that's him dying right there in that shot. You know, planting Stormbreaker and looking out from the tree over the sunset type of thing also as well. Or maybe some kind of vision he has of him dying.
So as you guys all know, and probably people listening will know, I've gone on this sort of zombie marathon over the last couple of months, and there's a moment in one of the programs I'm watching where one of the characters, I won't say too much in case people want to watch it, but one of the characters gets his weapon, you know, his weapon that he's been using for a long time, and stabs it in the ground as a symbol of him not wanting to use violence anymore, and not wanting to carry on fighting, and not wanting bloodshed, and just saying, this is done now, we're done, you know. And the next time I pick this up, there'll be a real reason for me to pick it up. Yeah. So I'm wondering whether there's something similar going on with Thor there. He's kind of said, you know, I'm done, I'm going traveling almost, you know, because that's kind of what that feel that you get in the movie, isn't it? Like him and Korg go on like a road trip, and he's kind of gone, do you know what, I'm not going to be a warrior anymore, I'm stabbing this, you know, weapon in the ground, and I'll come back to it at another time when I need to, but at the moment I'm done.
It's kind of like maybe they have all the 9 realms back in order after all the chaos from Endgame and all that kind of stuff. They're finally back in order again. Thor's the king, or King Valkyrie's there, and so Thor's like, she has this, you know, I can just go off and be, you know, peaceful, and then Gore showing up causes him back into the conflict too.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
yeah,
I like that. And you know, honestly,
I'll say, Monty, real quick, goes, are you watching Fear the Walking Dead or Walking Dead? You sound like Morgan.
He's ruining it. I'm watching all of them. I'm about 30 minutes behind the last episode of Fear the Walking Dead, the one that was released last Monday. Other than that, I've watched all of it. I'm right up to date. I'm going to have a big zombie-shaped hole in my life in the next, as of tomorrow. But yeah. But yes, Monty, I am watching Fear the Walking Dead.
Alex, you were saying something real quick before we get
Yeah,
to the
go on,
next.
Oh, I was just gonna say like one more quick thing about the Thor thing. I kind of get this like feeling where Thor, now that Valkyrie's in charge of Asgard, he's kind of just wandering in this movie. He's gonna be a wanderer. He's trying to find his new team. Maybe the Avengers are pretty much mostly gone at this point, so like that kind of makes sense why he's trying to travel with the Guardians. But like it they have that shot with him and Quill where they're standing there talking, and Quill is like, he's trying to like make a connection with Quill, and Quill's like, like, oh, I love my team, and Thor's like, yeah, but what about me too? Like it's kind of like that vibe you get from that. So yeah, seems like Thor's just lost.
Kind of like the end of Endgame where they're on the ship,
Mhm.
getting ready to leave Earth.
Because I don't feel like he's really feels like the retribution after Endgame. Like, yeah, they fix things, but I don't feel like Thor is the type of guy that he would be upset that he didn't take his shot when he had the chance. Like, he didn't kill the king when the king was on the throne, type of deal. Like, and that was Thanos for him, and he missed his opportunity.
Well, also too, he lost half his people before the snap too as well. So he still could be feel guilty because of that too as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's Frigga's words really affected him. When he went back and saw Frigga and had that moment. That was probably one of the most endearing parts of Endgame, to be totally honest. That sort of 5 minutes.
And then find out he's still worthy as well. That part too.
Yeah.
Because you could tell how that kind of changed him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that always helps just as a person, doesn't it? Knowing that you've got value. That again, you're looking at sort of his journey and talking about did he go through depression, and he's come out the other side, and because he's found the connection again with his mother that he lost, and then he's worked out that he's got some value by being worthy. They're all things that people who do suffer with those kind of problems have to find to be able to come out the other side. So yeah, I think that was a really touching moment. I really like that whole part with Thor and his mother. That was really excellent. So my point is that his mother's words are really sort of stuck with him. I think more so maybe than Odin's words.
Do you also speaking of that? Do you think that him finding out other people are worthy affects him as well?
I think it would have done. I don't think it does now.
A little bit less or something,
Yeah.
I think maybe it would have done before. I think he's grown. I don't think. Yeah, I mean, maybe I don't know whether they'll go down the route where he doesn't know who Jane is at first, and he thinks that he's stolen his hammer, or whether I don't know.
The MCU has used it one time with Vision, where they used his hammer as a way to like solidify Thor's like point on saying like we need him. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so like that is one instance where I think I've seen Thor be like, hey, look, I was right. Like he picked up my hammer. Like, and so like who knows?
Yeah. Vision's a good point. Monty says he loves the Quill Thor chemistry. Mm-hmm. I agree with that too as well, because they have that good back and forth, that good banter with each other. So
yeah, for sure.
But since we're getting at almost the halfway point here, I'm going to start going fast and furious with the rest of the news. So Werewolf by Night, it's rumored to be using practical effects in the upcoming Halloween special. Basically, it's reported by some of the set members that using full makeup and costume, according to crew tweets. But at the end, it can still be touched up with CGI, so that's interesting to see. Also, too, with Werewolf by Night, it's being reported that Laura Donnelly will play Elsa Bloodstone in Werewolf by Night. She was originally thought to be playing Vampire by Night / Nina Price, the niece, who's a hybrid werewolf vampire, but it looks like now she's really playing Elsa Bloodstone. So they're more solidifying that Midnight Suns is coming because she's one of the members of that team. So we're interested to see how that happens. There is an official runtime for Multiverse of Madness now, 2 hours, 6 minutes, and 22 seconds. So we have that. Echo has started production, according to Alakwa Cox's Instagram. And there is a rumor I saw today that, we all know that Charlie Cox's Daredevil has been rumored to be in it for a while. But a rumor today that I saw is that we might see some Defenders briefly in there as well. So that'll be interesting. Sony has some movie updates for some dates. So Madam Web is beginning filming in Boston soon. Will hit theaters July 7th, 2023. Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 has been moved from October 7th, 2022 to June 2nd, 2023. Part 2, which had no official date but was on the slate for 2023, will now arrive March 29th, 2024. So some things there. There has been some pictures out there of also Craven filming. We actually see Aaron Taylor Johnson out as Craven. So there's some pretty looking interesting pics there. There's
good.
still some, pretty good looking.
Yeah, he looks good.
And there's still some back and forth of who Russell Crowe is playing and what the movie's about. There's some articles out there posted on the page. But Paul Bettany has in an interview says he expects to suit up as Vision again soon. He went on to say, no, the honest answer to that is, well, maybe it's not the honest answer, but it's the answer I'm going to give you, and you'll just have to cope with it. At the end of WandaVision, you see Vision fly off, and that's a loose end. And Kevin Feige is a man who doesn't really allow loose ends. So I assume at some point I'll be putting on my tights and cloak for another outing, but I don't know when that will be. My betting money is on Armor Wars because that is a piece of tech that is out there on the loose. James Gunn reveals via Twitter that Darkhawk almost made it into Guardians of the Galaxy 2 in response to a tweet about Darkhawk should be his next project. So I almost wonder if maybe we'll see Darkhawk in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 maybe, or a teaser of it. But he almost made it the team in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, or made the movie. We have a question from Monty here about my previous news. Where do you think Vision flew off to? I think he kind of went somewhere to kind of ponder his existence and kind of deal with all the information that he got from the Westview Vision from Wanda's magic. That's where I think he's hiding somewhere.
Yeah, he's got to do that kind of analysis on what's right and wrong, you know.
Yeah. I mean, he knows who he is, but he doesn't know who he is. You know, that's kind of like the issue that he has there. So he's kind of got that Wolverine problem kind of going on. So
he
went to his first solitude.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. He's just gone to find himself, but find out where he sits in the world as well.
Yeah.
The last piece before I get to something that ties to the Moon Knight is that Keith David wants to play MCU's Beta Ray Bill, which Keith David has done a lot of cartoon and voices. So he could be the voice and have a stunt double be, because it's going to be all CGI anyway with Beta Ray Bill. So he could be the voice and then have someone else as a stunt double do it. So he's done a lot of cartoons. His most memorable for me was They Live. You know, he was in that movie. He was co-star to Roddy Piper in that movie. But he's been in other stuff too as well. And he has that iconic voice. So, and if you think about when they've done Beta Ray Bill in the cartoons, he kind of has that voice too. So I could see Keith David taking on and voicing that.
Bill has to have a deep, like, raspy voice when he talks. Like, that is like a requirement. Like, it has to be that way, you know?
Monty agrees.
I think that voice has to be, although I'm not sure about those features of the voice, but I feel like it has to be a really commanding voice.
Yeah,
a real big sort of presence. Not James Earl Jones, but in that same manner. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not like that, but that same kind of like
needed an iconic voice, like
that same presence that you can't just have some sort of normal voice. It needs to be this big sort of booming voice, whether there's a rasp to it or a grittiness to it, I don't know, but I do think it needs a real presence.
And that's a great point too, because James Earl Jones just voiced Vader; he didn't do anything else, and that's how Keith David could do the same way with Beta Ray Bill. Yeah, and Monty made a good point too here. I forgot about this, that Keith David is also the first Black Panther as well. So there's some things there. So that's all I have for non.
Sorry, what?
He voiced them. If I remember correctly.
Did he? Right, I have no idea. I was like, hold on, has there been a Black Panther before before Mr. Boseman? I didn't realize that. Monty, elaborate.
Cartoons. I'm thinking he's talking about because I remember.
Must
I think
be.
from the cartoons.
Right.
Isn't
Correct me if
he-
I'm wrong, Monty.
Isn't he also the president in Rick and Morty?
Yes.
Does anybody know? Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
he is Rick and Morty as well. So he's familiar with the voicing thing. So, but that's all the news that I have that's non-Moon Knight related. I have one piece of news. Yeah, here you go. As I thought, Keith was the first media version of Black Panther. It came off of the Fantastic Four cartoon. I thought so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't remember which one, but I remember it was like one of the cartoons. But Moon Knight news. Since we're going to talk about Moon Knight today, Michael Benjamin Hernandez, who's Oscar Isaac's younger brother, played Steven opposite Mark to bring both personalities to life. So when you see them both on the screen, that's actually his little brother playing, acting with him. He went on to say, if Oscar was playing Mark at the time, I would play Steven opposite of him. Then we would switch around and he would play the Steven role and I would do the Mark role. It would involve me on set with him doing the scenes or an earpiece where I would give him the lines. So depending on how they were shooting it, I would either be actually there in the scene or off camera. Before a scene, I'd be in Oscar's trailer and we talk about what's happening here and what's the intention, what's going on. That would help me perform in a way that makes sense to him and we both were on the same page. For me, it was all about making it as real and authentic as possible for Oscar to play off against, as opposed to him recording lines and just going off the line. It was just weird, mutated abomination of Mark with a fake prosthetic nose. I had never done the whole casting thing where they pour the green goo over your face, and I was totally game for all of that. I was totally game for yeah, you want to give me a wig or a fake nose? We even thought of fake chin parts and cheeks, but when we established that if we were going to film from behind my shoulder, the nose was the prominent piece to get. And so that made it feel like it was actually Oscar there because he has a beautiful schnoz and we want to recreate that. So there's a nice fun fact about Moon Knight. When you see them together on screen, it's the siblings. Yeah.
Excellent. And a nice segue there, Joey. Well done. From news into Moon Knight. So we're here, Moon Knight episode 4. So we've got 23 minutes. We've got 23 minutes. Let's get Moon Knight news in 23 minutes. Come on in, Jamie. What did you think of episode 4? As you're here to talk about it, you can talk about it. Go.
Well, a lot went on, didn't it? Seriously, I still honestly don't know what to make of it. I mean, we've got some ideas there. It's the end, isn't it? It's that last 5-10 minutes. That's the important part.
Yeah. Agreed.
What's happening? I think the setup all the way to that bit is you've got the bit about Layla's dad in a roundabout way. I don't think I'll go any further into it than that. I think that'll maybe be the end of it. I don't think they'll discuss it more.
But we did get the origin story without seeing the origin story.
Yeah.
Because that was basically the origin story of Mark becoming Khonshu's avatar.
Mm-hmm. And I think that'll be it. I don't think they'll go back to it.
Yeah, I don't think they need to, do they? I don't think that's a necessary point of the story. Really.
No.
It's kind of like revisiting something that you don't really need to revisit,
Yeah, it's kind of like we said that. There you go, it's done, and let's move on.
It would be like, I know this is going to sound completely out of line, but it would be almost similar to how they've had Uncle Ben die multiple times. You know what I'm saying? It would be just going back to that again and again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a thought here about that story happening. Do you think at the end of all this, because I've always thought that this is a test by I've said all along, I think this is a test by Khonshu.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Mark is already dead, and this whole thing is a test by Khonshu to make him the avatar to get all three personalities working together. And we finally saw in this last episode that Mark and Steven are more becoming a team, from a team to get to start working together more. That Khonshu's saying, I can't have all three of you going against each other plus me in there. I need you guys to become a cohesive unit. And this is Khonshu's way of testing him and not breaking him, but getting them to realize they need each other and they all can work together. And we keep getting subtle hints of Jake. I almost thought there was one point in the episode, or was it last episode? Yeah, I'm getting confused here. Anyways, when Mark was in the tomb of Alexander the Great and he looks into his reflection, I could swear that's a mustache. and that is Jake.
It looks like a mustache for sure.
Yeah.
You could say it's because of the shadow and then the black paint on the gold, but you can see it. It's there. It's definitely there.
And then we see
but-
the
But
sarcophagus.
I was speaking to a friend of mine, and I kind of agree. Do you think they'd make Jake have a moustache all the time? How are they going to do that? That every time he turns into Jake, he's just going to pull a moustache out of his pocket, or is it just going to magically grow through? And then when he turns to Stephen or Mark, it just falls off again.
Magic.
Yeah, just magic disappears. Yeah.
Summon the suit. It's his moustache.
Summon the moustache.
He could just have one of those giant fake mustaches that he just puts on every time.
Yeah.
You know?
A stick with a moustache on the end.
Yeah.
Of it. The whole,
like those glasses with the little mustache thing.
But Monty here thinks that it's definitely Jake in that sarcophagus. So you saw them find each other in the mental hospital. And then you see the one room where it's shaking, and I thought that was Jake. Monty thinks it's Jake, and hopefully we see him next episode, not be like a end of the season type of thing.
Yeah, it's got to be a nod.
I don't think so.
Another person. Well, you don't think we're going to see him at all?
End of it, I think, the very end.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll see him as see Jake, or do you think we'll see a third Moon Knight costume, and that'll be Jake?
I think just Jake. I'm still not sold on there being a third costume.
So something I've been just going back to this whole mental institute, hospital place. I like that theory actually, Jorin, and I don't think I've heard you say that before. I do like that. However, I don't know whether this is that Mark, Jake, Stephen, one of them, all of them, have got some information that Harrow wants, and Harrow's created this elaborate. I don't know whether that's real or not, but he's created this way to try and get it out of him like that, and it's almost like he's probing his mind and putting all these things in there that are references to what he has done, and a story and or not a story, but a mission or something that he needs to find out, and that Stephen, Mark, Jake, they've been there the whole time, and what we've seen is all parts of the story that he's been telling Harrow when they've been having their sort of therapy sessions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And this could very well be Amit's magic, and this could be, Harrow using that to manipulate this. And there's a couple of things that really stand out. Like, I think in the first or second episode, just like in the comics, they say that line about, like, did Khonshu chose you because of your split personalities, or did he choose you because of, like, your mind was already broken and you were weak and he could manipulate you, or is it one of those things where he broke you type of thing? And then you've seen, like, multiple times, and I think with Harrow especially, he's basically just gone, like, let me help you, like, I'm trying to help you, and it seems like it's like almost like a double-sided meaning in that statement, so yeah
he's already trying to help him.
Yeah,
he's almost wants to get this information out of him to I mean, I don't think he is trying to help him, really. I think Harrow's trying to do it for his own means, but
manipulate him.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then Monty said about the whole Jake reveal that if they wait till episode 6 to drop Jake as the big end reveal, that would be lame, which I agree. I think we need to see Jake next episode.
Yeah, I mean, should have seen him 2 episodes ago. I think we should have seen him in episode 3, to be totally honest.
If already seen him and just haven't realised.
Well, I think that is true, yeah.
It would be really interesting if they just drop him in the last episode and then they're like, all right, season 2's on the way.
Well, but from last week, it doesn't sound like it because they labeled Hawkeye and Moon Knight as limited series for an award show. So we'll have to see keep an eye on that. I think once we see Moon Knight again after this, it'll be Midnight Suns. It will be other dark adventures, maybe Werewolf by Night, that type of thing.
That would just be awful to not bring Jake Lockley in the Moon Knight show. You know what I'm saying? Like to the very end. Like, I think that would be a big misstep there.
But
it's almost like there's no need to not do it either, is there?
Yeah.
It's not like a massive surprise that he's got another personality. Well, not most people, but like we all know that. And to be honest, if you're watching Moon Knight now, if you're watching these kind of more obscure characters from Marvel, then you probably have at least got some knowledge. And even if you didn't have any knowledge beforehand, you probably have now. So it's not really a huge. Oh wow, he's got another personality. What a big shocker twist ending. You know.
As long as oh, good, Jerry.
No, you're fine.
I was just gonna say, as long as they don't come out with like 15 personalities for him,
yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying, like just keep on making up personalities and stuff. Like,
Did he have any more than 3 in the source material?
Yeah, Wolverine, Spider-Man, Captain America, and the weird. I can't remember what it was like a Moon Knight. It was like space knights after the werewolves took over Earth. But it's like a really brief one. He says when he comes face to face with them, he's like, "You're new. I don't know you," and he kind of deals with that personality in his head first because it's so new.
Oh, I like that idea that they sort of, so Mark and Stephen meet Jake and they're saying, "Oh, you're new. You know, we don't know you. Who are you?" And he's been like, "Well, I've been here the whole time. I've been watching you two, and you're not getting stuff done. That's why I'm here."
and Mark said about the barriers. Like the barrier between him and Steven had been torn down for some reason. So maybe there's other barriers between those two and Jake Lockley.
Yeah. And maybe they need Jake to get out of this situation that they're in now. They're stuck in, you know, whatever nightmare that Harrow's kept keeping them in, or Amit is keeping them in. And they need Jake to bust out of this. Then maybe that's why Jake's sarcophagus wasn't opening, because it's a bit more robust, and that, you know, Harrow knows that if this other personality gets out, then he won't be able to control it and they'll get out. Maybe that's what they need. Maybe that's exactly what they need. They need Jake to get out of this predicament.
There's something somebody said. I've seen it. I've not actually checked myself. That there's a special thanks in the credits. I can't remember the name of the book, but it's like a spin-off of the Percy Jackson ones. It was the Percy Jackson's The Greek Gods. This book, it's a spin-off of that. It's of the Egyptian gods, and it thanks that series of books. And I think someone was saying in one of those books, Taweret owns like a mental hospital on the river, on the bank of a really big body of water in like the Egyptian purgatory. And what she does there is decide whether people deserve another chance or a chance to be reborn.
Who's that? Sorry, Jamie. Who's got this?
Taweret.
The hippo we saw at the end.
Gotcha.
The goddess.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Kind of.
Fertility, rebirth, and rejuvenation.
Yeah, I think it's a 3.
That makes a bit of sense, doesn't it? Yeah, that makes a bit of sense.
Speaking of the mental hospital, did you guys notice the video I shared to the group where it has like all the parallels, like him falling out of the chair, being tied to the chair, is him being tied to the bed. That one room that him and Lele are trapped in when they're at Arthur's compound. That's actually Arrow's office. And then like other things too, like you see Crawley, you see the 2 cops.
The old lady from the elevator.
Yeah, the old lady from the elevator. They're all in there. Even his boss. She has the hippo doll with there too as well. So all the parallels that he's seen in real life, and then they're all in that mental institution. So I definitely think, you know, it's like purgatory like, and Tarowit's going to save him. He's going to end up, you know, she's going to decide to save him. And I almost wonder if she's working with Arthur. Because if you notice, because I had thought here about this too. So at the very beginning of the episode, you saw there's 10 imprisoned gods, including Khonshu. So do you think those 10 imprisoned gods are the real Ennead? You know, Khonshu was the last. The ones left are the ones that took over. Or is it just gods they imprisoned that were trying to stop Harrow? Because it seems like they're all working together, especially after that trial type thing that they had before they imprisoned Khonshu and brought Mark there. It seems like they all were on the same page with Harrow. You saw Harrow talking to, was it Osiris at the end?
Yeah.
On the side. And then you also saw them use the same purplish magic to imprison Khonshu. So has Amit already infiltrated them? Are they all like some kind of cult? Are they all in on it together working for it? Maybe they all have some relics, like Arthur has a cane. Maybe they all have their own relics as well. And that's how they all have that power.
Could they have turned on could the avatars have taken over and banished their own gods?
Yeah.
That would be interesting. And like they talk about like the gods turning their back on humanity. How many times in different mythologies have we seen that like one pantheon gets replaced by another pantheon? So like this could be very well the gods' children, replacing their parents, like betraying their own family of gods, if you will, and replacing them, and having their own vendetta. And that could very well be the reason why they turn their back on humanity. It's the difference of parents' views versus children's views, I guess.
Yep.
So we've got just under about 10 minutes left, but something I just want to touch on because I know that there's been a little bit of talk about this on the group. What could be the links between Love and Thunder / Gore, Black Panther with Bast, and Moon Knight and the gods in there? Do you think there's any links in there anywhere? Do you think they'll use any of that?
I have a theory, and this is the theory I want to share today. How Moon Knight can tie to Thor. What if the closing credits of Moon Knight, we just see dead Egyptian gods or their avatars or whatever with no context? Like, what if we actually see Overvoid, where the gods are, and we see them just dead? We don't see Thor. We don't see anything else. We just see dead Egyptian gods. And then in Thor, we know he's out investigating why gods are dying. We see Thor at that same scene, seeing the dead gods there, Egyptian gods there as well. That could be a really good tie there. I'm not sure how they're going to tie Bast in from Black Panther. The only thing that I can say there is that maybe she's one that makes it, because there's been some conversation between some of us that how they could bring the Black Panther like power back, since the herb was all destroyed by Killmonger, is that they future Black Panthers become avatars of Bast. So that's how I could see that tie in to where we're getting introduced to the Avatar thing. And that's how they can kind of skip having to explain a lot of that backstory in Black Panther if someone else gets the actual Black Panther powers and mantle.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry, Alex, 1 second. While we're talking about gods, I'll come back to you just in a sec. Justin's on. Hello, Justin. How you doing? And he said, I think it's neat how Marvel continues to retroactively incorporate real history into its mythological history that they've established. It started with Eternals, and I'm so happy they're doing more of that. So yeah, and this is all that sort of tying in of Greek gods and Egyptian gods and not false gods, fictional gods. That Ramatut is kind of like a fictional god in a way, isn't he? I guess. Anyway, sorry, Alex. Go and carry on. Back to you.
I was just going to say, I think it would be really interesting if they took Bast and they just made Bast like a transplant from Egypt, and they just basically said that like Bast was a god that came there to protect the vibranium. You know what I'm saying? Like something like the Wakandans prayed to Bast, and then Bast left Egypt and came to Wakanda, and that's how I think that's a fair shape. But
they could pray to her after. And as part of the beginning of Wakanda Forever, the whole way, so the burning of the herb, and they're praying to see how they can cross that interstellar plane again, how they can get to maybe some of that stuff, how they can get the powers back. Right there, that could tie that together really nicely.
And the vibranium crashing on Earth could be like the conduit as to why Bast left one location and went to another. So
I want to make a quick point on Justin's comment about the history and stuff. So there's another article I put on the page as well, where actually Marvel went through and did some really deep research and made sure that everything from the hieroglyphs you see in the show to anything tied to the Egyptian stuff in the show, they went and researched that to make sure that's all accurate.
What's that called? There's a specific department, isn't there, in TV and film? What's it called? Is it like authenticity? That's not what it is. But they've got a specific department. If anybody knows, let us know. But they've got a specific department in films that are there just purely to like check the fact
authenticity.
Check how authentic and honest and true to history these things are. Like they, because the writers have their own knowledge, but it's not great. Obviously, they just kind of go, well, look, we want to do this, and we're going to make this up, and then another department comes in and goes, well, actually, look, this is what it actually is. Can we do that? Do you want to change it to this real thing or not? And the writers go, no, we want it real, or no, we want to make it up completely. But yeah, they've got whole departments of teams, like Jaren said, that do this research and come in and make all of these, not changes, suggestions, to say, look, actually, this is authentic. Do you want to keep it like this or not? You know?
Yeah, what just popped in my head is that that scene from Wayne's World with Alice Cooper. Well, actually, it's called Milwaukee. I don't know why this popped in my head as you're talking about that.
Justin said, could be the ancestral plane is just a projection that the gods are displaying to the Wakandan people, similar to how the prophets project themselves to the. It's a Star Trek. Bajoran. Sorry, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Bajoran people in Star Trek, yet they're just aliens that live in a wormhole. Feige loves his Star Trek. I didn't know that.
Yep.
I'm sorry if I've pronounced that wrong. That whatever those people were, yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to say it anymore. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe. What's Monty said there, Joey?
Do you think Moon Knight will tie to Love and Thunder, or do we think it'll be tied to Kang? Like, I think we can still see a Rama Tut connection possibly. And I say, why not both? You know, we can still see Rama Tut interacting with Khonshu or Amit if they go do some, flashback type of thing. And then, like I said, with the dead god, so we can go both ways.
And all I'm saying is Ravonna Renslayer was a Moon Knight. So.
Yep, that's right.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Oh, cool. Oh, and Lisa and Justin have both just said that I said that name correctly, so thank you.
Is that the Facebook chat or the Facebook page? 'Cause I'm seeing one of them, not the other.
You're seeing the page. I'm seeing the group.
Okay. Okay. I don't know why the group doesn't come through sometimes in chat, so sorry about that if I didn't put your stuff on the screen this episode.
Technical errors, Jaren. It's all right. It's all right. We're all human. Yeah, why not both? I think, and I really do think we should see a Ramu Tut. There needs to be a little Kang more than a picture on the back of a coat.
Half a picture.
Half a picture on the back of a coat. Half a blurry picture on the back of a coat. We need a little bit more. Just a name drop will be enough.
They should have kicked the Alexander the Great thing and made that Rama Tut's tomb. That would have been just boom, knocked it out of the park right there.
Yeah.
What do you think?
And then there'd be no body inside. And
they wouldn't have had to go any further though with that. They could have just left and done exactly the same with what they've done. But just done that, and then that's it. No more mention of it, and that's enough, isn't it? That would have been enough to just that Kang's there.
Or do you think they could have Rama Tut one of those little statues that we saw one of the 10?
Maybe.
Yeah,
but they've got to still tell us that in 2 episodes. Haven't they?
I mean, they can also just make Khonshu have a beef with Rama Tut from the past too, and just do that in a flashback. Be like, oh yeah, there was this one king in Egypt all these years ago that really just made me upset.
Yeah, no, I definitely think they've got to squeeze a Rama Tut reference in there. What's the
point of linking it to Alexander the Great, I wonder?
That's what I was going to say. There must have been a reason very specific.
He wasn't actually Egyptian, was he?
No,
he's Macedonian.
He wanted to be Egyptian.
Yeah.
I think, didn't he?
Unless it's a bait and switch, and that's really Rama Tut.
But I think, did he marry Cleopatra? Didn't Alexander the Great marry Cleopatra? I could be wrong about that. but I mean, like, there might be like that little bit of a connection there if that's the case. Maybe that's why they brought him in to this show. I don't know. I mean, he seems like an odd one to bring in.
Sir Monty right here confirmed it. That's a specific reference. He married Cleopatra.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Maybe Cleopatra. They do it like this. Maybe Cleopatra is tied to Rama Tut, and they kind of just discovered saved something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Mark Antony.
I've noticed. Something I've noticed is that
Mark Anthony.
There seems to be an awful lot of people that know their Egyptian history better than I do. And don't get me wrong, I know nothing, but there's a lot of people that know stuff, and I'm like, should I know more? Do you know what I mean? I'm like, should I know more than the very, very basics? And Egypt exists. That's about as far as my Egyptian knowledge goes. And you guys all seem to know about the gods and everything. I'm like, what's going on here? Listen, we're coming up to that time of the evening. Let's do what Justin. Surprise me. Just quickly, Justin's just said if Amit devours people, he could have been her war avatar while he was conquering Asia. Like, imagine very vicious Alexander the Great. Yeah, cool. Listen, we're going to wrap it up there before the hour mark. It's been a great conversation, guys. We got a little bit carried away with Thor: Love and Thunder, but I think it was deserved and it needed. So thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Lisa, Roxy, Justin, Monty, for your input. It's always very much appreciated. And we'll see you next week.
Have a good one.
Take care.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell them about the time we faced Doom?
All right. Well, as I remember,
At Avenger headquarters,